Hi, welcome to this video. We all know that we are getting another Christopher Nolan movie this year, which is The Odyssey. And I have known about the existence of The Odyssey for a really long time, and I've wanted to read the Emily Wilson translation of The Odyssey for a really long time. I just did not own the book or get it. Um, so I guess this is finally going to be the year when I'm going to read this book. So I have had my brushes with Greek mythology since I was a kid. In fact, Percy Jackson, a very well-known middle grade book, which is inspired by elements and has elements of Greek mythology and has Greek gods, and some of the Greek mythology epics are retold in those books. And I've been reading those since I was 12 myself. But now that I'm older, actually have started reading more retellings, reimaginings, and going back to the actual classics. So last year, I watched this musical called Epic, the musical, which is about the Odyssey. And the creator, the producer, the songwriter, the wonderful, wonderful man behind all of this is now creating a second musical based on the Iliad. So before we get that musical and before we get the Odyssey, here are some books of Greek mythology that I hope to tackle this year. Let's start with the simplest ones, and that is the Odyssey. Three ways. So, of course, I have heard great praise about this version of the Odyssey, which is translated by this classicist called Emily Wilson. And people say that this is the best, the most accurate, the one that doesn't soften certain blows, the most true to the original translation. So I've always wanted to read this. And also look at this copy. It comes with deckled edges, which are so cool. I don't think I had any book with deckled edges before this. So I'm really excited. But while I'm gonna read this, I'm also gonna be reading some other translations because why not? So I have the Penguin Classics, The Odyssey. I'm not sure who the translator is with this one, but okay. Translated by E.V. Ryu and revised translation by D.C.H. Ryu with an introduction by Peter Jones. So I would like to read this version of the Odyssey. And then also I have a version of the Odyssey that is by Stephen Fry, who has books like Mythos and Heroes, also about Greek mythology. So I don't think this is a translation per se. I think it is a telling or a retelling of the story. But either way, I want to read these three books, and hopefully I can do that before the movie comes out. I guess in July. Um, we have Anne Hathaway as Penelope and Tom Holland as Telemachus. That's really cool. I don't know actually what's gonna happen. I am not one of those die-hard Christopher Nolan fans. I just like Epic the musical and also Greek mythology. So I have four other Greek mythology inspired books here, and I'll get the simplest ones out of the way first. This is The Demigod Files, which is a Percy Jackson novella. It contains two short stories that take place somewhere between the third and fourth books, or the fourth and fifth books, I believe. I've read this a lot in my childhood, but I just got a fresh new copy because the old one basically became a biohazard. So I'm gonna read it because I just read the entire five book series of Percy Jackson, the original five book series. So why not read this these two short stories and complete the entire thing? And then I have Camp Half Blood Confidential, Percy Jackson companion book, and this is a book that I've never owned or read. So I'm really excited to be getting into this one. Dear Lord Apollo, my friends and I decided to compile this book because your orientation video for Camp Half Blood is neither helpful nor awesome. Please don't strike us down. Sincerely, Percy Jackson. Okay, sounds interesting. I think this is gonna be finally we're gonna get a glimpse of what there is in this famous orientation video that they keep mentioning, but never have I ever seen a character go through it. So yeah, this. And then the other two books that I would like to read are, first we have Pandora, which is a retelling slash reimagining of the myth of Pandora, which is interesting because I thought that that was what this book was about. Then I started reading it and I thought that this was just a um, story that has Pandora's jar inside of it, and it's a historical fiction book and not that much to do with Greek mythology in and of itself. So I DNF'd it last year. My bookmark's still here. I was like 70 pages in. And then recently, I was looking this book up again because obviously I did not like the fact that I DNF'd it. I do want to read this book. So I was looking it up, and turns out it is a retelling slash reimagining, but it is based in like 1800s, like 1799. So that is pretty cool. And I would like to read this, and it's also going to be cool because I can read this back to back with A Beautiful Evil, which is a reimagining of the myth of Pandora. And you can see the jar right here. I think it's called Pandora's Box. I read in Percy Jackson that it was supposed to be a jar, and I think subconsciously, ever since I was a kid, I just started calling it Pandora's jar because I kept talking about Pandora's jar to a friend, and he was like, "Do you mean Pandora's box?" So, yeah, that's a little quirk of mine. So, just don't pay that much attention to that. But yeah, this is by B. Fitzgerald. I read two of her other Greek reimaginings last year and I loved them. This is, where is it? This right here, this pink book is a Girl Goddess Queen, which is the Hades and Persephone reimagining. And then up here somewhere, wait, that blue book, this one, is The End Crowns All, which is her Trojan Boy sapphic reimagining, which is also really cool. And other than all of these books, there's one more book that's on my Greek mythology TBR, which you kind of might have guessed is the Iliad. Again, I would like to get the Emily Wilson translation, but I don't know when or how that's going to happen. So once I finish all these books, or we get an announcement for the Iliad musical, either or, I'm gonna go and read that book because then it would be really cool to have the musical and the actual story together and consume them together. So that's it for this video, and this is going to be my Greek mythology TBR. I hope it was interesting. If there are any other books that I can read before the Odyssey comes out, let me know. It would be interesting. I think I'm gonna go and watch it in the movie theater this year, but we'll see. We'll see. And let's see how many books I can read. All the Greek mythology books that I'm hoping to read this year. Hold on.